Hello and welcome to episode number 9, the Nick Foles edition of The Checkdown, brought to you by The Painted Lines. I'm your host Shane Half, and you can follow me on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. Also, make sure you're following the TPL account at The Painted Lines. So let's get into it. Today we're talking about Howie Roseman and the reports that his job is not in jeopardy and he will remain in Philadelphia as the Eagles general manager. And I think I speak for all Eagles fans when I say, really? Let's talk about Howie. Okay? Howie Roseman has exhibited contradictory decision-making over the last several years. The drafting of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and then subsequent extension for Alshon Jeffrey when they're the same player. Drafting Jalen Hurts with the second-round pick in last year's draft immediately after extending Carson Wentz. He has no idea what he's doing, and he cannot follow a plan. He can't develop or articulate a plan for this team. He's just chasing himself in a circle. Beyond the contradictory decision-making, he has missed adding so much talent. The Eagles entered last offseason with dire needs at wide receiver. DeAndre Hopkins was traded for a second-round pick. How'd that turn out? But no, the Eagles hold on to their second-round pick. Stephon Diggs for a first? That's too much. The Eagles would rather draft Jalen Reagor with their first-round pick. Robbie Anderson, a free agent, gets a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Panthers, has a 1,000-yard season. But no, let's go sign another defensive tackle. The Eagles have swung and missed so many times that it's unbelievable that Howie would be allowed to continue to make these decisions. But it's not like he hasn't made moves. He has, and when he has, he's wasted draft capital. He traded a third-round pick for Golden Tate for 8 games. He traded a fourth-round pick for Jannard Avery, who can't even be active on an Eagles game day roster. He has ignored entire positions on the defense. He's completely ignored linebacker and safety for years, while way overpaying at other positions, such as defensive tackle, hoping that it would somehow make up for it. He's meddled in Doug Peterson's coaching staff. Last year, Doug Peterson spoke in favor of Mike Groh as offensive coordinator and Gunnar Brewer as wide receiver coach, and Howie Roseman stepped in and made Doug fire the guys that he wanted to keep. Now, you should argue that they should have been gone anyways, but if a coach is not allowed to make his own personnel decisions, what are we even doing here? You can go through the draft. In the last 4 years, the Eagles have had 10 picks in the first 3 rounds, days 1 and 2. I can only say with certainty that 2 of those picks will be good players long-term, in Miles Sanders and Dallas Goedert. And those 2 at running back and tight end are some of the least important positions on the football field. In fact, if we want to go through line by line the last 4 years of drafts, 2017 in the first round, Derek Barnett. Been a solid defensive end too, but not what you hoped for at the 14th overall pick. Sidney Jones in the second round, a bust. Rasul Douglas in the third round, a bust who didn't even fit our scheme to begin with. Mac Hollins in the fourth round, has 500 career receiving yards. Donnell Pumphrey in this historic running back class, never took a snap in the NFL. Shelton Gibson in the fifth round has 59 receiving yards. Nate Gary, who's the worst linebacker in the history of the NFL, but continues to play because we have nothing else. He's the only player besides Derek Barnett that's even still on this team, and probably won't be next year. You have Elijah Qualls in the 6th round, nothing. Move on to 2018. Without a first or a third round pick, they used their only pick in the first 2 days on a second tight end. Now, Dallas Goedert's been great, but was that the best use of resources? Avonte Maddox has looked totally outmatched. Josh Sweat has had a solid career. He's probably the one player that I could say the Eagles have developed that's not an offensive lineman in the last 3 to 4 years. Matt Pryor in the 6th round, he's been a disaster. Jordan Mailata, he's been good, and that's a huge credit to him and to Jeff Stoutland. I don't give Howie any credit for that. The guy had never played a snap of football before. He was a project, and Stoutland stepped up to the plate. In 2019, they trade up to select Andre Dillard, who's so bad that they contemplated trading him after a rookie season when he wasn't even the starter. Miles Sanders in the 2nd round, that's been a great pick. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the 2nd round. What a joke. 254 career receiving yards, and he likely won't even be on the team next year. Sharif Miller, gone, never even played. Clayton Thorson didn't even make it out of training camp. You had 5 picks in the 2019 draft, and one of them didn't even make your roster. And then, it's too early to judge this year's draft, but Jalen Reagor in the first round, well, the guy that went a pick after him has 1,000 yards more receiving, but, I'm sure Reagor's a fine pick. Jalen Hurts, taking a backup quarterback with your second pick, that's a great idea, Howie. Davion Taylor in the third round, a project linebacker that has such a long timeline, he can't even get on the field for the worst linebacking core in the NFL. Kayvon Wallace barely plays despite all the injuries. Jack Driscoll, he looked good. He's been banged up. Hopefully he comes back strong. And we could continue to go down the list. John Hightower showed nothing this year. Sean Bradley didn't even get a chance to play hardly. Quez Watkins has 100 yards receiving. Prince Tega Wanogo has been on IR or PUP all year. Casey Tuhill's no longer with the team because we thought we could sneak him onto the practice squad. The point being that Howie's drafting has been terrible. You don't need me to tell you that. You could just look at Football Outsiders, who says the Eagles have the second worst draft returns in the NFL since 2015. And that's on Howie. But beyond the draft, Over the Cap says that 2 of the 10 worst contracts in the entire NFL are on the Eagles roster. And the Eagles have the second worst cap situation looking forward to next year in the entire league. The Eagles are probably in the worst situation in the NFL. They have an old roster and an expensive roster that lacks talent across the boards, and there's infighting in the front office and the coaching staff. It's not a good place to be. If Jeffrey Lurie fired Howie Roseman, there would at least be hope. And yet, reports are that his job is safe. Continuing to go down the same course and trusting the guy who created the problem in the first place to fix it is truly baffling. And it's the reason that I personally have almost no hope about the outlook of the Eagles over the next several years. That's going to do it for episode number 9 of the Check Down. Make sure you subscribe here on YouTube so you don't miss the next episode, and drop a comment down below. I'd like to know what you think. Am I being too harsh? How do you feel about the Eagles' outlook in 2021 and beyond?
Audio